So hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Real Solutions to Amp Up Your Online Presence. So first, I'd like to personally thank all of our partners today for your continued support, and let's get started. So each of our partners today will have approximately 8 minutes to share with us their solution in action. And to kick us off, I'd like to welcome Marc Benton from Community Brands.
Thank you, Kevin. It's an honor to be here presenting with you today. So today what I want to talk about is how to deliver your in-person experience online. And again, my name is Marc Benton. I am Community Brands Learning Solutions Engineer, where I support both our Crowd Wisdom and Freestone learning platforms. But since we've got a short amount of time, let's jump right into the information. What we want to talk about, again, how to deliver the in-person experience online, how to engage your audience with the right content, how to add interactivity, how to offer variety through a customizable experience, and then incorporate sponsors and exhibitors too. So what are your options? Let's talk about those. To confirm we're on the same page with terminology, let's explain webcasts versus webinars first, and what makes up a virtual event. Consider how you can bring elements of the in-person experience online so it becomes as worthwhile of an option as the in-person event itself. Essentially, webcasting is broadcasting over the internet. A key feature of a webinar, though, is its interactive elements, the ability to give, receive, and discuss information in real time. Then, of course, you have the ability to record for on-demand viewing as well as performing rebroadcast. The next item we'll talk about is choosing the right content. We're going to spend most of our time here because this is your moneymaker. Whether you're determining which of the day-long seminars throughout the year are best to webcast or which sessions from your conference you want to stream, all of these are applicable. And here's some items to consider. Has there been historically popular content that people like to go to on your site? What are your top performers in terms of topics? You obviously want to make sure that this is represented in your live stream. Speakers that are well known or maybe highly rated. Take a look at your in-person ratings to see which speakers did really well. Also talk to your speakers. There may be someone that's really interested in participating in an online program. There may be some speakers you flag that are great subject matter experts, but don't necessarily translate well in as an engaging online speaker. Hot topics is another area. There may be something going on in your industry that you're able to capitalize on. That is absolutely one of the items you want to flag and make sure you're streaming. We see a lot of great turnout for these kinds of sessions. And a mix of just-in-time and just-in-case learning and programs. Just-in-time being some of those timely hot topics that people really need to be up to speed on, whether it's an industry update or a worldwide update like, say, GDPR. You want to have content like this sprinkled in so that you can hit people in that education moment of need. You're always going to have just-in-case content at your conferences that may or may not be something that is immediately applicable, and it may be something required for credit. But once again, you want to give them that opportunity to see something that interests them and to go and attend that particular session virtually. For the conferences, you can show one or multiple tracks or break it out by theme. So you want to give people options so they can go to their online classroom for the day and be presented with the tracks that they can join and stream for the day. That way, if there's a particular topic someone's interested in, you can make it really easy on them to be able to find and watch those items. Programming should be reflective of the learner's interest. You want to make sure you're taking that into account and mining your data to figure out what will play well online and what people want to see. Depending on the number of concurrent attendees or sessions, you may want or may not be able to stream all of your sessions, but remember, you can still record what you're not streaming for use later as a rebroadcast or on demand. With online conferences, you have the luxury of picking and choosing what you want to broadcast. And when you start looking at your technical platforms, you want to make sure they provide that flexibility to provide all this functionality to you. And you also want to plan on engaging content during those sessions. You want to, some of the functionality that provides that is checkpoints for attendance tracking, quizzing for competency measurements, Q&A for real-time speaker interaction, polling and surveys, collaboration. You may want to leverage chat for virtual breakout sessions, community incorporation and attendee chat. Networking and knowledge sharing through chat is very important to your attendees. And then let's talk about the customized experience. So think about when you personally go to a conference. Normally there's tracks, there's concurrent programs that are running, and you get to choose your own adventure. You look at the event app or the program book, and you're picking which sessions you want to go to. You have the flexibility to attend any track, and you're able to go on a whim into a session if one looks good over another. But oftentimes that's lost with a virtual conference. But it's best to be able to offer up choices in order for someone to feel like they're on site. So here's what to do. Broadcast concurrent sessions from each time slot. Create options that there is something for everyone. Allow them to choose between at least 2 sessions so they can have curated experience similar to what they would if they were attending on site. Those options can take a virtual conference from good to great. And then start thinking ahead. When you're looking at the complexity of your platform, Tagoras in 2018 did a virtual events report, and they said complexity of tech tops the list of concerns for offering virtual events. So some of the things you want to look for is the flexibility. Mobility is important, responsive design for your interface, interactive features like we talked about before, the chatting and the polls, scalability, the ability to handle the crowds and the sizes, and even for on-demand, having 24-hour access. Integration capabilities, such as the ability to conduct a single sign-on or feeding data back into your database of record, whether it's a CRM or an association management software. And then tools for repurposing that content, like Freestone, for example, has the ability to schedule a rebroadcast of a live event, being able to take that content and reuse it in multiple ways. And then also you want supporting services as well. Another important piece, a huge opportunity I think can be tapped, is the ability to incorporate sponsors and exhibitors just like you do at your live events. Give your partners more valuable sponsorship options in the virtual events and generate some additional revenue for your organization. You can offer a variety of sponsorship levels at different price points. An all-day or multi-day virtual events with learners and the viewer for multiple hours offers great exposure. Another offering is to customize the interface with sponsored branding. In Freestone, we've got a great viewer with customization tools that allow you to adjust logos, coloring, and CSS. Crowd Wisdom has a very similar functionality to where our package products can easily reflect logos and even drive traffic into pages or websites that a sponsor may want to promote. You can stream spotlight interviews or live vendor demos and allow for Q&A. That's a great value add for your sponsors, and it gets a level of connection with the virtual attendees. This allows the end user to really have the experience similar to what they would have if they walked up to a booth. So with all that being said, we wanted to kind of give some information on providing your live events online without really going into our products, but I do want to say that everything we've just talked about is fully supported in Crowd Wisdom and Freestone. If you're interested in a new learning management platform, please feel free and reach out. If you're interested in hosting upcoming live events, we'd be interested in talking to you as well. And with that, I will say thank you very much for the time today, and I'll turn it back over to Kevin.
Great. Thanks, Mark. We did have a question come in, and maybe we have 30 seconds to answer it. The question is, what type of webcast virtual conference do you use to offer those multi-track sessions? And don't believe that Zoom can handle that.
So the way that we address that in Freestone or even in Zoom, so Zoom has the ability to do breakout rooms now, but it would be multiple sessions of the platform. So like with Freestone, you can plan multiple sessions throughout the day with like a master page that would be like the program with links into each one of the presentations. So instead of just having one interface throughout the day, kind of like what we're doing here, you would have kind of a master record that would direct the learners, almost like a traffic cop, to the programs that they want to attend. Now, for each track, you could have one session and continue that track throughout that one session. But if you're going to do concurrent individual programs, you would have individual sessions of that platform.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi everybody, I just wanted to turn on my video briefly to say hello to you and good evening from Ireland. Thanks to Kevin and Sherry and Emily for putting this together. And I'm going to talk you through now Top Class LMS and how we can help you support your virtual events. So let me pull this up here and we'll get going. And I'll turn off the video as well, just so you can see the screen. So we're actually celebrating 25 years of Your Learning Your Way at WBT Systems this year. We developed Top Class LMS, which many of you might know. Top Class LMS is fully configurable to meet the unique workflow needs of your organization while providing a comprehensive selection of modules to support the growth of your education programs that you can see here on the screen. It's possible to customize the look and feel of Top Class to provide a consistent experience with your website and strengthen your brand. And then, you know, if you wish, as your programs grow, you can add certification, discussion forums, conference management, digital credentials, B2B e-commerce or more as your programs grow and evolve. We support virtual learning and we extend opportunities to further apply and develop knowledge to learners. Our end-to-end integration with Zoom and GoToWebinar enables you to provide webinars, live virtual instructor-led sessions, and virtual or hybrid conferences. But as many of you are probably in the same boat as we are and sheltering in place at home, you've probably taken part in so many virtual events recently, from video calls to virtual family quizzes, to Zoom calls for work, to even in our case, cooking competitions over Instagram here at home. So how do you engage a wider audience for your education and certification programs? How do you make your virtual events actually add value for your learners and make them want to attend? Well, we believe that the way to do that is by bringing them all together and making your virtual learning offerings an integral part of your overall education offering delivered through your learning management system. And I have a short example to share with you on that. It's a quick case study from NIGP, the Institute for Public Procurement. The Institute for Public Procurement and NIGP, they recently had over 100 in-person events scheduled between March and May, and they very quickly in a 3-week period managed to turn around and convert over half of those events to virtual learning through Top Class LMS. The instructors and learners for the courses were given the option to convert to online or postpone. They made those decisions very quickly to enable them to get the conversion done, and they started converting those courses straight away. The first online courses they scheduled were assigned to experienced online instructors so that the team had time to train and prepare the remaining instructors. But by the end of March, the instructors of more than 50 courses scheduled through the end of May were already ready to go. They were able to do this because about 18 months ago, they changed their approach to program design. They used to offer 8 to 10-week instructor-led online courses, the old kind of semester approach that was borrowed from academia, but now they offer shorter courses in 3 different formats. They either offer them by live instructor-led 2-week virtual courses, on-demand self-paced courses through the LMS, or in-person courses. But no matter which format a learner chooses, they can expect consistency in the learning experience because of NIGP's design strategy. Their new education portfolio called Pathways consists of personalized competency-based learning and credentialing paths for every stage of a public procurement career. Their content is designed to be more flexible and ready for any modality. Because it's built in small chunks, it's modular, flexible, and easier to update. The new online courses that NIGP built use the same content as the in-person courses. For example, a role play exercise in the in-person course was converted to a breakout room exercise in the new online course. Because Top Class LMS is an end-to-end integration with Zoom, NIGP could build out breakout rooms and discussions into their online course design and support learning before, during, and after the event. And that's one of the other ways that Top Class LMS can help you to continue the learning experience after your virtual event, with features like discussion forums, where you can either use the discussion forums available in Top Class LMS or your integrated online community like Higher Logic. These discussion groups can be linked to specific virtual sessions, a specific group of learners, or just allow general access to an entire conference audience. Similarly, video, interactive video feature in Top Class LMS enables you to track the time spent watching, to prevent fast forwarding and make sure that you can prove the content's been watched if that's important to fulfill requirements for compliance training, certification, or maintenance of credential programs. I'm also delighted to announce that we are now partnering with Matchbox Virtual Media to be able to provide our customers with services before, during, and after the virtual event to, as Matchbox say, create conversations that matter and connections that last. Combined with the functionality of Top Class LMS, together we hope to enable associations to continue the conversations, connections, and learning beyond a single virtual event to really create continuous learning experiences for members and professionals in your industry that become an integral part of your member engagement strategy. We have a variety of resources to help you on our website. We've published several blogs over the last few weeks for associations to help guide you as you help to prepare to cope with your members' changing needs because of this interesting coronavirus situation that has been foisted upon all of us, and also to help you to begin to use Zoom or GoToWebinar to enable you to deliver webinars and virtual events to your members. If you have any questions or if you would like to know more about anything that we offer or how we can help you to get started with virtual learning, please feel free to contact us at any stage. And I think I'm actually finished a little bit ahead of my 8 minutes.
Great, thanks, Michelle.
Good afternoon. I am Matt Harpold with Courseworks, and I am our Client Success Manager. I'm really excited to share with you all today. Today, I'm going to be walking you all through just a case study we have with our clients being able to utilize the LMS for their virtual events and meetings. So without further ado, so before we dive in and actually show some of the snippets and examples that we have, we thought it'd be helpful just to point out some of the pieces that really help and point to why an LMS is a good place for using for a virtual event. The pieces that come together are a lot of simple access for registration for your users to actually get into their event. It's already set up, not anything where you have to work outside of the guidelines or typical paths that you have to get there. Your users are already familiar, have some, I guess, relationship with the system and can navigate the pieces where they need to in a different learning environment for a conference. And as you may find out or have found out, your staff is also very familiar with the system. So being able to give those technical answers and answer those questions as the conference is going on is very helpful as well. It also already houses all of your CE credits, your transcripts and information that you will be providing that goes into your events and conferences, and you'll have all of your reports in one place for all of the activity that goes into that as well. It also provides an opportunity for cross-promoting other on-demand courses that you have in the LMS and bring to light all the sponsors within the LMS with a lot of control over where they go, where they have visibility, and make sure that they're recognized as well. So to dive into an example, here is a virtual event that our client, AMDA, the Society of Post-Acute and Long-Term Care Medicine, did within the LMS. So they had this at the power of their fingertips in their existing LMS and didn't have to do any additional add-ons or anything along with that, and really laid out the conference and reverse engineered it from what their attendees would be expecting in a virtual place rather than actually meeting in person. So providing different locations for conference lobby and different rooms or sessions, which could be courses in there as well. Giving the brandage and signage for each of your sponsors within on this homepage, and then as well if you're including exhibit halls or other locations where that signage will be helpful as well. So within each event, every virtual event that you have the ability to have a lot of control over actually providing sessions in the way that'll be easiest for your attendees. Here's the example where they broke it out by their tabs in the navigation by day, and then organized each area into session sections. So depending on the size of your event that you have, it might be easiest to break them down into sessions if you do have concurrent sessions versus just having a continual list of the event that might be easier for them to navigate through as well. So when we move into here and we actually look at that first section of sessions that they have, you go in and you see your session from 9 o'clock until 12:30. They have all of their activities and pieces that are going to be necessary for them to complete this session here at their fingertips, where you have a lot of control over how they see it. If it opens in a new window, make sure that it's readily available to them, as well as put any access controls where if they have to follow a few steps before moving on, you have control over that as well. So as we mentioned in some of the tips why to use your LMS, we also have your evaluations and credit claiming. So it's really easy for them to attend the session, use the webinars or the go-to meetings, the Zoom platforms for the actual session, and then follow up with the activities that they need to get their continuing education credits. And you can see that we do some cross-promoting for some other materials that they have within their LMS, so they can steer people to leverage the rest of the great content they have available. For another example, just to see kind of how you have the breadth and the flexibility to actually provide and deliver your virtual events, you can also get creative with some of the graphics that you have within the dashboard. So having this conference navigation where you're not only providing directions for this new environment where they're going to be having their event, they also can click on locations that are easier to see. As we know, not everybody wants to read, but the graphics help steer and guide you to the actual places where you want them to go for each of their sessions. So if we go into their day one sessions, you have more control over the graphics. So you click on each of these locations for which session you are attending, and it will bring you into your listed activities within their courses. So we always want to make it as easier for the end user as possible. So providing that navigation at the top is really key, so nobody gets lost and you don't have too much end user support for those items. So always making sure where there's no dead ends or any areas where they won't be able to navigate to where their next step or where their next session will be is very important. And finally, within one of each of those sessions, you do have the option to not only use those integrations through Zoom, through GoTo, through all the other platforms that are so helpful. You can also pre-record sessions and post those within the LMS as your sessions so they can still have those activities. You can decrease the amount of end user your team has to go through for any questions that might go as well, and then still have activities like chat functions and really get people engaged in the sessions where it can be as close to that face-to-face event as they're used to. And finally, after we did conclude a couple of these virtual events, some feedback that we got and some requests was around priming your subject matter experts to speaking virtually, getting them ready and preparing them and having them comfortable in environments that they're maybe not used to. So we are having a webinar that will be on at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, May 26th. Please feel free to register on our website, and some of the learning objectives will be around the execution of audio and lighting recommendations, some easy engagement activities to get your attendees engaged, and communicating to your attendees going through as well. So again, I am Matt Harpold. I am our Client Success Manager at Courseworks. If you have any questions, are looking for any points, tips, or options for putting your virtual or your in-person conference virtually, please feel free to reach out. We would love to help where we can. I think I'm a little early, but I can pass it back to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Just a couple reminders. We will be sending out the replay of this presentation, and then the panelists are monitoring the chat. So if you have a question, please place it in the chat. So now I'll turn it over to Joe from Adage. Thank you.
First, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. And of course, thanks to Kevin, Sherry, Emily, and everyone at Org Community for putting this together. I'm Jake Toohey, Senior Digital Consultant at Adage, and I am joined by Joe Post, our Vice President of Strategy and Design. So it's pretty obvious that the world has changed over the past month or so, and the streets of the biggest cities and tourist destinations in the country are empty. And in our case, I'm sure it's the same for all of you. We went from being in the office, collaborating and meeting, to clearing out our offices and setting up at home and sharing our office setups on Instagram. And even happy hours and networking events like the great ones that Kevin and Sherry put on, they're all virtual now. And I'm sure most of you have participated in a few Zoom happy hours with family and friends over the past few weeks. But this shift has obviously come at a major cost for most associations who have had to cancel conferences and live events. Dollars that you absolutely need and rely on just disappear out of nowhere. And so we work with associations of all sizes. We have for the past 10 or 11 years. And almost every one of them has a common problem. When change is needed, processes and decisions take way too long. Q&A, RFP submission review, finalist presentations, then you got reference checks, internal meetings and analysis, and finally a decision gets made and everyone's contributed.
In the current environment, we're thinking it's time for a blue ocean strategy. When we take a look at our association clients, we find that a few things are shared commonly in their business models. They're mission driven, they're membership organizations with an education arm, they have e-commerce, and when we take a look at our other vertical that we are strong in at Adage, we look at arts and cultural associations and we find some commonalities. What's really interesting for us to share with you today is how those organizations are moving very quickly to pivot to serve their mission, their membership, and still fulfill education, subscriptions, live events, community, and commerce. So what we're seeing is that they're able to move very quickly as content creators, and with strong digital platforms in place, they're able to provide new content to their audiences. So at Adage, we design and develop complex platforms that enable maximum agility and flexibility. And a few of the case studies we're going to share with you are platforms that are enabling our clients like the Monterey Bay Aquarium to service their audience with live cams. I encourage you to visit their website. You can see a delightful sea otter or elephant seal. But they're also able to provide online courses specifically tailored at parents and guardians who are faced with being at home, caregiving for their children. One statement from them is that with the launch of this platform, they've been able to agilely adapt in time for COVID response where they wouldn't have previously. The Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. likewise is leveraging their digital platform in really new and exciting ways. They've switched their homepage from being informational to directing audiences directly to their digital stage, which provides a Netflix-like experience leveraging their content. The Metropolitan Opera similarly has moved to nightly streams in addition to their already existing Roku and Apple TV apps. They're also providing some of these streams for free for students, and they're really advancing their purpose with some features around making a gift, as well as really innovative ideas with at-home galas. The Met Museum is providing virtual 3D tours, so you can still tour the halls of the museum. A smaller organization, the Philadelphia Orchestra, also has put on a new on-demand service with their content, and they're seeing a really great boost in donations using that platform.
So in the association world, the AAP has taken advantage of platforms we've built to get resources to practitioners and families that are dealing with the struggle of caring for children while also working full time. And if you wondered how much TV your kids should be watching, they've actually updated their screen time policy from 2 hours to 4. But they're also pushing their policy to the public for regular vaccinations to continue and getting the message out. And that's from the most respected pediatric organization in the world. The AAPD was devastated to cancel their annual conference, just like everyone has been. But what they've been able to get help from their members by simply organizing a donate your registration fee campaign. AHIMA has created a channel for resources and has also partnered with Wolters Kluwer to provide members with access to their compliance suite portfolio, which is expert curated content on federal regulatory changes to health information management professionals. AACE International and the security industry or association have joined forces to deliver increased services to global security leaders as a result of the pandemic. And we can't take credit for this one, but Joe and I were just talking to a friend of ours who works with the New York City Bar about how they've opened their community platform to all members for collaboration outside of their committees, which they've never done before, and they're seeing huge increases in engagement. So creating a singular group to talk about how they're dealing with the impact on the industry.
So what we wanted to offer this community is an abbreviated and kind of more agile form of typical practice for us, where we engage in discovery and visioning and planning together. We've put together a special package, including a questionnaire, a cost-benefit analysis workshop, and a bang for your buck workshop. These workshops are specifically tailored to this community as you are looking around, asking, where should we go next with digital? How should we approach it? What are some of the opportunities that we should be considering? Each of these steps in our questionnaire help us understand your organization and understand what opportunities are available to you. The two workshops are around understanding where we can have the most impact with the least effort as we are trying to pivot to better serve our audiences in this current reality that we're all faced with. The workshops are really engaging opportunities to come together with your stakeholder groups and really have a great conversation about how can we respond, how can we reach our audiences, how can we really engage with our memberships, and how can we leverage our content using digital today.
So finally, we want to talk to you about this, and we want to offer this service. You can add us both on LinkedIn if you use the QR code on the app. I tried to do a little diagram for you to show how you can do that, but you can also do it the old-fashioned ways. So you can see our emails right there, j2e@adagetech.com, jpost@adagetech.com, and then you'll have our numbers when you get this deck. But I want to thank everyone. We hope to hear from you, and I want to thank Kevin, Sherry, Emily, and everyone at Org Community for giving us this opportunity to talk to you.
Great. Thanks, Joe and Jake. And again, go ahead and point your cameras to the QR code. It'll direct you right to their LinkedIn profiles. You get connected with them, and they'll be more than happy to share their wonderful resources with us. Great. So next is Eva.
I'm going to talk about how virtual meetings can be made easy with the CadmiumCD platform. My name is Eva Montgomery, and I'm the Midwest Sales Director for CadmiumCD. If after this event you want to learn more about our platform or want a more in-depth demo, please reach out to me. You can email me at eva@cadmiumcd.com or call me, and my cell phone number is there. So CadmiumCD, we're actually celebrating our 20-year anniversary, but we have a fully integrated product line that's designed to help meeting planners plan their conferences. And up until this year, it was mainly focused on live events, but we have introduced this year EventScribe Live, which is a complement to our conference planning platform. And so with the conference platform that we have, the modules that work best for your live meetings or virtual meetings would include our speaker management module called the Harvester. If you have an exhibit component, you'd want the Exhibit Harvester. And then for the attendees, you would want the EventScribe Live website, along with a mobile app in some cases if you're really trying to drive engagement, as well as our evaluation component called Survey Magnet if you're offering continuing education credits for your virtual meeting. But the beauty behind using the platform is that the content that's being collected in the Harvester module, whether it's speaker or exhibitor, this is where you're adding and deleting speakers, You're collecting all of the content that you need for your virtual meeting, whether it's speaker or exhibitor or sponsor related, and that information then is processed and then displayed on the planner and the app. So that combination makes it really powerful. With our virtual event platform, we have this awesome new website design, and it's meant to mimic the tile concept that we introduced with our mobile app a few years ago. So you have complete design freedom on how you want that virtual event to look. But the other thing that's really nice about the platform is that with these tiles, what we're finding, most of our clients are going with their virtual meetings, they're doing a portion of their virtual meeting as a live stream and a portion as pre-recorded sessions. And so you can have tiles on the homepage that direct attendees to on-demand sessions. You can have a tile, it doesn't show in this example, but you could have a tile for your live streams. You can have a tile for exhibitor events, if you have exhibitors that are providing education presentations. It's just, there's a whole variety, and so you can really design your virtual meeting and make it come to life on this website. And then the other really nice thing about this is that because it's integrated with the back end content management platform, there's a lot that we can do in terms of slicing and dicing your content program into separate tiles on this home page. So one of the things that we introduced this year is the presentation audio task. And this helps you with the on-demand sessions. With the on-demand sessions, these are your pre-recorded presentations. And so what's nice about our platform is that we have this, the speakers will be logging into their own speaker portal that they're already used to because they've uploaded their photo, their bio, and whatnot. And they can upload their presentation. And then with this new task, they can actually record their presentation. And it's super easy. They don't need any additional software to download. They do it right there in the harvester. So they have they see the thumbnails of their slides, and then they can click on the slide, record their audio, and move on to the next slide. When they have completed the full recording of all their slides, we will process that recording and post it to your virtual event site. All of that happens within a matter of minutes. From the time that they've completed recording to the time it's posted, it can take minutes. If you need a mechanism to prevent that from displaying until a certain time, we can do that as well. Looks like we have a raised hand. And I'm not quite sure where.
That's okay. We keep going. I think
okay.
that was Roy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So once they have recorded their presentation, it'll get posted to the virtual event site. So with the virtual event site, it's essentially a schedule of your virtual meeting. And in this example, this is when I clicked on the on-demand sessions for this particular client's site, it pulled up a schedule of recorded sessions, and then I could just click on one of the presentations. A presentation pop-up will appear that pulls in all the information associated with that particular presentation. And then the recording that was made in the harvester, I can just access from this location right here. When I click on that button, it then pulls up the recording. So I will see the slides along with the audio, and it will auto advance, or as an attendee, I have full control. I can jump ahead, I can move backwards. It doesn't, the audio and slides are connected, so it doesn't matter, I can jump ahead. This approach that we took to make it really easy for speakers to provide their content, we also included that capability for your poster presenters. So poster presenters can have the same functionality where they can upload their poster, record their poster, and then we process it and put it into the virtual event site in the form of a poster gallery. And then that way the attendee can click on a poster, they will see the information about the poster, and then they can click on a little thumbnail within that presentation pop-up. They'll see the actual poster and hear the presentation. So you can use that recording functionality in the Harvester for your regular program speakers. You can use it for your poster presenters. You can use it for your sponsors and exhibitors. If you have a section where you want your sponsors and exhibitors to have their own education program, like a lot of our clients for the live meetings will have like product theaters in the exhibit hall. So you can do the same thing in a virtual setting. Now, the next content type that our virtual meeting clients are introducing is the live streaming. And so with live streaming, we have the capability to live stream your speakers. And in that particular case, those would be sessions that are a little bit more, that lend itself more to being, where you would want it to be live streamed. So these would be like your really popular sessions that you think, over 1,000 people might want to see. It might be your keynote, something about a hot topic. Think about those kind of sessions. And let's see here. Oh, Kevin, did I go through my time?
Yeah. So that's okay. I think we also have a couple of questions, and Eva, if you want to respond, great. If not, I welcome the other panelists to chime in. So
sure.
One question is, we run a few closed session events in conjunction with our annual conference. Is there a way to restrict registrations or views to the appropriate audience?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm assuming you have parts of the conference that are open, and then other parts, like maybe a pre-conference course that maybe you don't want everybody to attend, so you can definitely restrict access to different parts.
Okay, great. Another good one is, what about the tech support that's available to presenters who encounter difficulties while recording their presentations?
Yes, we definitely, yes, you definitely need that tech support, and we have that tech support. So we offer tech support, during that period where they're doing the pre-record of their presentations, but then there's also that tech support that's needed the day of your virtual event if you're doing live streaming. So we have tech support for both of those, not only for speakers, but also for attendees.
Great, thank you. And are the presentations downloadable? I'm interested in restricting to protect the IP.
We can do it either way. So we have it set up where they're only viewable on the EventScribe platform, but then we have other clients who want them downloadable because they want to export the files and put them in their LMS. So either way. Okay, great. Some more great solutions and actions coming up. All right, Dan.
So my name is Dan Stevens. I'm president of Workabee TV. And we've been helping organizations use the power of video since 2008 through our AssociationTV platform and services. I've been involved in both sides of the association world, the entrepreneurs organization, and I was international chairman. And last year I published a book on moving your association from analog to digital. Interestingly, I was going to talk today about hybrid and virtualized events and the importance of planning those really well and all the different configurations that there are. And a lot of the speakers are covering that today, and I've decided not to do that because I felt 8 minutes just wasn't enough to cover all of the various use cases. And but if anyone is interested from both the production side as well as the platform side, by all means, reach out to me. And one tip I would just like to say before I move on that is really make sure that the content that you do live and what you do digitally is appropriated for that medium. And sometimes as we talk about things like multiple tracks, it's not necessarily appropriate to do that because putting someone on the other side of a laptop for 8 hours a day is pretty difficult. So use each medium appropriately as you look at that. But I am going to talk today about a technology called virtual videographer. And it does fit into this world that we're living in where physical distancing is important, but it's really the ability to film remotely with the simplicity of a Skype or Zoom, but with the quality of traditional filming right up to 4K quality. And what it is, it's an app technology that allows an iPhone, an iPad, or a laptop to be turned into this remote videographer. And as you can see on the screen, we can have a subject that's in any city, and our director that comes on to record that and conduct that filming can be in a different city. And somebody else might pop on as an interviewer, yet from a different city. And the director is controlling that iPhone or that iPad or that laptop so that the lighting is right, the exposure is right, the framing is right, and the interviewer is controlling the quality of the content. And so just like a traditional shoot, but we can't do that right now because no one wants a videographer in their home with COVID-19, this technology makes it really simple to remotely control and capture content at a time when we still need to communicate with our members. So rather than talk more, I'm just going to show you, I'm in the video business, a little video on how this works. And it has so many different use cases from CO updates to COVID-19 updates. But what it does is it actually, when it's filming into the device. So it doesn't have the issues of a Skype or a Zoom where the quality might be degraded with the internet. And it doesn't have the high cost of having someone in your home or in your business filming. So virtual videographer really is an affordable and yet high quality solution that really allows our team to connect to your device, or we supply a device with minimal equipment that can be set up if you do need lighting kits, or if you do need a multi-camera shoot, or if it's going to be a panel, can set up in less than 10 minutes. And then everyone connects to the app. We can see you, you can see us, we can talk to you, we can make sure that everything's working fine, conduct that interview, upload the finished shoot. If need be, we can even turn the phone or device into a teleprompter. And with that content now captured, we can upload it to the cloud where we can pull it down and either start editing it for you, and if you have in-house edit capability, you can do it yourself. So it allows you to do videos quickly, affordably, and at about 25% of the cost of traditional filming. So I'm just going to back out of this and go back to the PowerPoint. As mentioned, some of the use cases, I mean, right now we have many leaders of many associations that are filming weekly updates from their home. We're in and out in 30 minutes, make it easy, and then the videos are produced just like any other video is produced. Testimonials, doing member profiles, especially during COVID, on how are you addressing, what are you doing with your organization or your business or your career during these times, and sharing those stories, as members love to learn from peers. Thought leadership, advocacy, keeping members updated on, what's happening, especially on, again, items like COVID-19 is being very popular for updates. And how-to sessions, I mean, we, as many of our clients have had to shift to either a virtual or a hybrid event, the promotional videos that we made for the original event have all had to be shifted into not only to re-register or to register or shift into that virtual or hybrid event, but maybe some how-tos, how to get on a virtual event, how to connect, how to get access to the speakers and exhibitors and so forth. And then board and staff updates. From a number standpoint, we can conduct a filming for a traditional, 3 to 5 minute video for $395. Includes a planning meeting, and it's a turnkey solution. And if you need us to play the interview role, it's an extra $100. So it's literally, it's about 25% of the cost of a traditional filming, but yet it's in 4K. And so just to sum up, and I know I'll be early, with Virtual Videographer, you can film remotely. For example, we were talking about speakers that you may want to film in advance. If you want more than just, say, PowerPoint and audio, and you want to actually amp up that production, we can film it using this technology, have it pre-produced, integrate it to the slides, and ready to go. So high quality content up to 4K, lower the cost, but don't sacrifice or try to make this person who's not a professional videographer figure out everything that's necessary. Color and lighting and audio qualities and focus and zooming can all be controlled remotely by a professional videographer. And of course, the interview can be guided by either yourself or our staff. Just to give you an idea on quality, we filmed a 3-camera shoot, three iPhone 11s aimed at one person, and we filmed a 22-minute documentary using this technology. And the quality, I have to tell you, is over the top. So real simple. If you're needing to still communicate with your members, if you're needing to move into hybridizing or virtualizing, and you need help either pre-recording, promotional videos, or even the platform itself to support those, please reach out to us. We would be happy to help. And if you need more information on Virtual Videographer, the link on there will get you to a full video where you can listen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, there's a question here for you, Dan. Can you also do this with panels?
Yes, we can. You can have up to 4 cameras in 4 different cities at the same time in a panel shoot. And then imagine on each one of those, you can have up to 4 people. So theoretically, we can bring 16 people together around it. And this, and there are times when it makes sense to use a technology like Zoom for that. And there are times when you need the quality of 4K and the editing capability to add in graphics and animation and music to make it something more polished that's going out, especially if it's maybe got sponsor servicing on it. So we have both options available. We look at the use case and see what is best. We also can film globally with traditional videographers. We film all over the world. We have local crews everywhere. So when it comes to planning an event and executing on an event, from live streaming to everything else, we have our kit bag from all the way from something low level like Zoom all the way up to live streaming with a full crew at your conference to Virtual Videographer in the middle. Well, thank you very much. And if there's any interest, please reach out.
Thanks, Dan.
So I'm with 360 Factor, and today I'm just going to show everyone our OasisLMS and how it can help in an environment where virtual meetings have to come in and replace some of the in-person conferences. So hopefully the virtual conference is not going to be a permanent replacement of a face-to-face conference. So today I'm going to focus on really 4 pillars of what in-person conference have and see how we can help you to move them to virtual. So we're going to talk about some poster galleries, education sessions, and expo hall for your exhibitors and sponsored, and also some networking capabilities. So here's just a screen of a possible landing page that allows people to navigate to where they want to go. And I'm highlighting sort of the 4 main pillars: the live sessions, the galleries, the exhibit hall, and the networking. And I had an optional Twitter feed here, just in case you want to drive some sort of social action between your conference attendees. So here's an example of a poster gallery. So you can have a video-based poster gallery. You can have text-based poster gallery. You can break your category, break your posters into different topics. If you have hundreds of posters, even in the thousands, and you want users to sort of quickly find what they're looking for. In a way, if you think about it, a poster online actually make easier to navigate than a physical poster gallery, in the sense that user can use a keyword, they can use the different taggings that you have to find the poster that they might be interested in. And if you allow your attendee to rate the poster, they can actually search for poster that has a higher ratings. So this is sort of the view when they walk in and they see all the posters that's available. And when the user click on a poster that they're interested in, this is just an example what a poster will look like. The user can rate the poster 1 to 5 stars. They can bookmark it if it's something that they're interested in. Typical posters are just HTML formatted text, but you can also add the multimedia like video, PDF, PowerPoint. You can also enable a little commenting area so that any attendees can communicate with the author of the poster so that there's a little sort of asynchronous dialogue happening. So that's how the virtual poster will look on our platform. So here's what the educational session will look like. So as you can see here, it's basically an example of a 3-day event. And so at any given time, you might have a keynote of, the main draw for the conference. And then at any given time, you might also have up to X number of concurrent sessions. Here, I'm just showing 4 concurrent sessions that's happening. So the user can quickly find the day and do a search for any speakers or any tracks that they're interested in or any keywords that they might be interested in. And as the day progresses, this is actually where the virtual conference offers some advantages that the in-person conference cannot do, which is that you might be able to replay a session that a user have missed because it's virtual and the user is actually logged online, right? So as long as you have the recording ready, the user can actually, within the same day, replay some of the session they missed. And the one thing that's kind of important is ability to offer sponsors ads placement so that they get sort of a little bit of more eyeball action on their logos and their message. So this is an example of how your education sessions can be laid out in a schedule format in our platform. And then when the user click on it, you have a decision to make, right? So how are you going to deliver this live content? So oftentimes people think about live webinar, right? So you have a Zoom, WebEx, or GoToMeeting, and then you have to educate your subject matter expert. If you have concurrent session happening, you sort of have to make sure that everybody knows what's happening. So oftentimes you feel like you're juggling a lot of balls at the same time. So more and more often now, our client try to take a sort of a mixed approach. So if they have multiple concurrent sessions going, they will have some sessions that's pre-recorded and just live streamed at a particular date and time. So the best analogy I have is like a movie, right? So you already made the movie and you're just going to play the movie at Saturday at 8 p.m. So everybody tuning at that time and it's going to be streamed. And if you show up ahead of time, you might see some trailers. But if you came into the live stream late, you're going to see sort of halfway through the live stream. And by taking this approach, at least take this approach for some of your sessions, you can relax a little bit just because you can do a lot of the work ahead of time instead of trying to do everything at the same time live, right? So here's just an example of a live streamed education session where the speaker might be speaking, but at the same time, because it's recorded, you can also have your audience ask questions, and the speaker might be available now to answer any of the questions that people have. In addition, you can do any polling that you want. So this will obviously will happen on the platform instead of being bounced to Zoom or GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar on those platforms. And you sort of keep everything centralized in one place. So oftentimes you could have, say, 5 concurrent sessions, but 4 of them are pre-recorded and live streamed. Another one that is a truly live course. The next pillar is a exhibitor hall. So here's just an example of an exhibitor hall. You have, some sponsor banner at the top, and then you have sort of when you walk through the door, here's all the sponsors that the user can sort of knock on their door, right? So here's the list of all the sponsors. And when you sort of go through a door, you will enter the exhibitor's booth, right? So here's just an example of what the exhibitor's booth might look like. I just happened to pick Stark Industry. So you can see it's a completely HTML based. You can put some videos on there. You can put HTML. You can provide links that take the user directly to where they need to go. You can optionally have a contact us form to sort of mitigate the fact that they cannot make instant connection with someone that is in the exhibitor booth. So there is a contact us form that they can fill out. In addition, if you want to create any sort of a raffling system, you can actually have an enter raffle button at the bottom so that when the user visits the booth, they can click on enter raffle so that they log the fact that they have visited the booth, and then you can tally the raffle and decide whatever the price is for visiting the booth. Last but not least, networking is very important as part of the in-person conference setting, and that we try to, even though it's not going to be able to replace completely, we offer a networking capability so that any user who is on the platform, if they're interested in network with other people that is also in the conference, they can opt in for the networking, and you can only see other people who have opt in for networking if you opt in for networking. So it's sort of a two-way street, but when you log in, you'll be able to see their information, a little bit blurb about what they're looking for, and you can make connection with them by either emailing them or chatting them. So networking, we believe, is also a very important pillar for any virtual conference to sort of mitigate the missing element of in-person networking. So if anyone has any questions for me, definitely reach out. This is the first link is our website. The second link is actually a demo expo site that anyone can go visit. You can register for a free account and you can definitely play around and check out a fictitious virtual conference and how it will work. If you're already a client, reach out to us as well. We document how to use our system to do this on our Oasis University, and also support is available to help you load your content and set up a virtual conference. So I'm sort of running 100 miles an hour, try to get it done, but let me know if you guys have any questions.
Now, great, Tom.
Yep.
This is Kevin. So there was a couple of quick questions here.
Sure.
Does OasisLMS have the ability to include a QR code on the site for exhibitor booths? Okay,
so yes and no, right? If the exhibitor booth can create a QR code on their own, we can definitely, it's just an image, an asset. But right now, no, we don't have a QR code. And the next question, I think, is the Expo Center third party or part of your, it is part of our LMS. It's our LMS can do more than just a virtual conference, but my presentation was really focused on how to use our LMS for virtual conference purpose. But everything you see in the screenshot I have is 100% on our system. The only thing that is not is the live Q&A system, which does the integration with Slido.com.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Great. Next up, we have Laird from Ian Ryan Interactive. Then after Laird, we have our panel discussion. So Laird, I'll leave it to you.
Okay, you can hear me, Kevin?
Yep, I can hear and see.
Let's see if we can get
You can probably just share over. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
I got it. All right. Thanks, Laird.
Okay, there we go. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Laird Crawford. I'm the creative director and owner at Ian Ryan Interactive. We produce content for most of our association clients, whether that be marketing or marketing videos or content for LMSs, storyline programming, things like that. You'll have to excuse me, I've got a little bit of a frog today. So we're located in Des Plaines, right near the airport, and about 80% of our work is for associations. We do a lot of filming on location in our studio. We create animations. We do a lot of storyline programs and things like that. And these are some of the association clients that we work with on a regular basis. As you can see, many of them are Chicago-based, but there's quite a few that are East Coast-based and DC and so on and so forth. Some of the production stuff that we do is, like I mentioned, marketing videos, podcasts. With COVID going right now and everybody being homebound, we're doing a number of, as a matter of fact, we had 4 different recordings today that were podcasts, and yesterday I recorded 2 different videos, much like what Association TV was talking about, doing it remotely. So things have changed just a little bit. For podcasts, we're recording a lot over Zoom or Skype, and just you know, coaching our the members who are, or the participants, so that they know you know how best to be on the microphone, how to be full on the microphone, and then everything that we do, we edit, and then we work even on the publishing end of it. But today's talk, I just wanted to maybe give you guys some tips on just taking what you already have and just trying to make it a little bit better when you're doing a Zoom. And so if you've got members or the current president of your association that needs to get a message out there, what we'll do is we'll call them up and help coach them into getting the lighting nice, maybe help them with getting another external microphone or something like that to help them sound better, making sure that they're not backlit, things like that. So I thought I'd just go through, some of the steps here. So one of the things that everybody's using is the webcam that's, in your laptop or on your computer, and they're okay. You can get the job done with it that way, but the microphone is kind of weak that goes along with that. So there's a couple of things that you can do. You could switch over to your iPhone or your iPad. The cameras on those are much better. Same with the Android phones, or a separate web camera that you can buy off of Amazon. In addition to that, you can use something like what I'm utilizing right now, which is a Cam Link or some device like that allows you to take a nicer camera, a DSLR or something like a home movie camera, and be able to hook it up to it and use it as a webcam at that point. The nice thing about doing it with that is that if the person that we're interviewing is, if it's for a video that will be used later, we can coach them over the Zoom, but also have them record on their camera. That way we can see what their framing is and how their lighting is and things like that. And then we can get the better quality off of the original camera. But we can work with whatever equipment you have. One of the advantages, if you look at this image here, you'll see that with a DSLR, like you see on the right side of this image here, the colors are truer, there's more detail to it. You can get the background out of focus to make it look more professional and make the person stand out more. So there's a number of reasons for taking a step or two more than just using the webcam that's built into the laptop. The other thing that you can do too is there's even a few apps out there that allow you to take your iPhone or your iPad and be able to hook it directly to use as a web camera. And the same thing with this, you can record on that device at the same time that we're also recording the Zoom meeting, and then you can, the participant could then send us that file later if it's something that needs to be of higher quality than just what the Zoom is. And one of the important things here is not just the quality of the camera, but getting things placed the right way so that you've got, the camera, in the case of the camera that I'm using right here, I've got it just above eye level, and I've got it framed so that I'm seeing, chest to head and that type of thing. You don't want to be too close like the one image on the right. And you don't want it to, the person to be down at the bottom of the frame or to be too far away. The other thing is lighting, very important, but you can do it pretty simply. In the case of this is someone with just a single source lamp in the back of the room, and obviously he's backlit. Move that lamp, to somewhere up near where his laptop is, and he's going to look a lot better. So if you take something like a nice lamp that you have, maybe change the bulb out, that type of thing. Or if you do have something like a ring light, then that's really going to help a lot, because that's going to get rid of the shadows down below and make everything a lot more even. The picture that you see down in the bottom left corner there is actually my setup here. That's pretty much how I have everything set up here, so that I just have two lamps. What I did was I just swapped out the bulbs for some daylight LED bulbs to just make things look a little bit nicer. And it tends to make a big difference. The other thing is audio. Audio is probably, in many cases, the quality of the sound can hurt the quality of the image. So, more than 50% of what people perceive as quality in a video is really the audio. And I've got a demonstration here to show a couple of different types of microphones. And so the microphone that I'm using right now is a shotgun microphone. It's just an inexpensive one, like the one that you see imaged, pictured here, hooked up as the input to it. But I can switch over and switch to a lavalier microphone, and so now this microphone is the one that's on there. And what's nice about this is if you're filming an actual video, you can have the person stand up and walk around, and these are pretty easy. You can get these to hook in. There are some, like the one pictured here, that have a USB connector. You can just do that right into the back, and then it becomes the audio feed for your Zoom session. The best sounding is going to be something that would be like one of the many different USB microphones that are out there, like this one right here, that is really going to give you something that's going to block or reject a lot of the background sounds. And it's a very close field. And this is what we recommend, something like this, or one of the ones that are pictured here that are fairly inexpensive, for when we're doing podcasts, rather than something that it would be for a video. Because the other demonstrations, the lavalier and the shotgun microphone, are ones that can be hidden, so that you don't have to worry about anybody seeing the microphone. The other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is teleprompter. As you can see, I'm using a teleprompter here. And what's nice with some of these is that you can get these to scroll right along with you. Mine stopped scrolling here, but usually they'll scroll right along with your voice. So they're voice activated to keep you on. And that's something that you want to try and place just below the camera, so that you have some eyesight when people are delivering their message. So following some of these tips here will help improve your presence, whether it's just in a Zoom meeting or whether it's one of your members who needs to do a message. We can help direct them to get the best quality within a real short period of time. We've been really busy for the past couple of weeks with many different associations doing talks about COVID. What if, for the medical associations, what do their members, patients need to do if it's an elective, holding off on doing the surgery, or where do you draw the line between elective and something that needs to be taken care of right away? And so we've been doing patient focused and also physician to physician focused podcasts on a number of subjects for the past couple of weeks. And then some of the associations that we had been scheduled to go and record podcasts with at their meeting, those were canceled, and we've rescheduled many of those podcasts to be recorded virtually over Zoom. So with that, thanks very much, Kevin. I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Laird. So a couple questions as we transition into our panel. That teleprompter, that looks like an app. Do you mind sharing who that is, or what app that is?
Yeah, let me see if I can get that here. Prompt Smart is the name of the app. The app. And they have a couple different versions, but their pro version will actually scroll the text as you're talking. So it's very handy, very useful.
Great. And another question is, what kind of budget should we expect for like the shotgun mic and some of the mics you shared with us? Do you have a range of?
Well, like the one that I'm using right now that you're listening to, that's like a $50 microphone. So that's pretty straightforward. There are a variety of different USB microphones. That's usually the best way to go because it gives you some versatility. Some of the USB mics, they range from $35 on up. And what's good about most of them is that you could use them in a position where it's just on a stand in front of you and not seen. But you can also pull it in close and be able to get a little better sound, a little warmer sound, and reject some of the background noise. And there's even a new plugin, which I just heard about from my audio engineer today, that will take in, as you're doing your session, it will only listen to your voice. I don't know the name of it, but at some point I can, if people want to contact me for it, there's a plugin that you can run while you're doing your Zoom session that will actually help reject any of the background sounds. And it's actually pretty amazing. You can be pounding on the table and the kids can be screaming in the background, and it will reject all of that and listen just to your voice.
Great. Also, the lav mic, does that interfere with you hearing things out of Zoom, or is it just kind of a one-way?
No, actually, all of this I'm doing with the speakers on the computer. So I'm not using headphones or anything else like that. And so Zoom and GoTo are really pretty good at rejecting. In other words, knowing when I'm talking and cutting out the speakers. So the only problem with that from my point of view is I can't hear myself through it. So it's, you know, I had to practice a few times switching between the microphones to make sure that I was going to clearly be able to make sure that I had the right microphone on at the right time. But there's no feedback with any of this. So these are all really pretty good that way. I mean, if you had the microphone right on top of the speakers of the laptop or whatever it might be, you might get some when it was switching back and forth. But the way it's set up here, most of these are pretty good at rejecting that.
Okay, great. I don't see any other questions. Again, if you guys have any other questions, you can put them in the chat. But I think now we're going to switch over to our panel. And Laird, thank you so much for the great tips. And I'm going to turn it over to Sherry and Jennifer, Megan, and Elizabeth. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thanks, Kevin. After all of that audio and everything else, I didn't take myself off of mute. So thanks. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, great.
Yep.
Well, I want to welcome my friends and colleagues for joining us this afternoon to talk about their experiences with virtual meetings. So we're excited to have Megan and Jennifer and Elizabeth. And thanks for those of you that have stayed with us this whole time. We had over 300 people register for this event. And those of you that are still hanging on, we're excited to be able to share the experiences that, these women will be able to share with us today. So to get us started, if you guys could just introduce yourselves, take a minute, who you are, where you're from. We'll start with Megan.
Sure. Thank you for having me here today, Sherry and Kevin. My name is Megan Schagrin. I'm the CEO for the Society for Academic Emergency Medicine. We're about a 7,000 member physician organization headquartered in Des Plaines, Illinois.
Jennifer?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jennifer Pitts. I'm the Senior Director of Products and Programs for NAHQ, the National Association of Healthcare Quality. We are about a 7,500 membership organization as well, and we have over 12,000 CPHQ certificates. We are headquartered here in Chicago, near O'Hare Airport.
Great, thanks. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Lepowski, Chief Learning Officer for the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists. We're a physician member organization of about 7,000 physician members. We are headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida. However, we have almost a fully remote full-time employee team. So I'm actually located just north of Chicago.
Great, thanks. So I kind of want to get started, and I want to start with you, Megan. I was very interested, you know, your members are obviously, they're on the front lines dealing with COVID-19, and you guys are holding your meeting virtually in a few weeks in the middle of May. So can you kind of talk to us about how you made that decision? You know, people are asking me questions like, you know, are they doing multi-day events and people's time? So without even talking with you yet, I've kind of used you as an example. I said, well, find out on Thursday because Megan has people that are very, very busy and she's doing a multi-day event. So we'd like to hear about that a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So it has been a truly amazing time to work with our emergency medicine physician members. They're working around the clock themselves. They're taking risk for all of us and for their families. And it's been a little bit emotional, I'll be honest, to watch them use all of their grit to get themselves through this. And several of them have frankly fallen ill to COVID-19. So it has been an emotional time for our organization. You know, I see my staff working unbelievably hard, like I know all of your staffs are probably doing, on top of taking care of the kids that are home running through our conference calls. But we do see ourselves as a behind the scenes piece in this fight for COVID-19 and know that we really have to support our members in getting that education out, not just the critical content for COVID-19, but all of the important diseases that are happening right now that our physicians need to know about. So translating to a virtual environment, honestly, it was a very easy decision to make. There was not an option for going a year without delivering the content that SAEM needed to make. So for the most part, except for our truly social events, all meetings, all presentations will happen in some format virtually for SAEM 20. We had abstracts, posters, workshops, didactic submissions that were all record-breaking this year, leading up to our cancellation, and last year was our record-breaking year as well. So we knew that we couldn't just say no to the meeting, and our cut scores are really quite high, so it does mean something to put on your CV that your abstract or your didactic was accepted to the annual meeting. And we wanted to make sure that our members didn't lose out on an essential opportunity for their professional promotion. Like putting the things that we offer on their CV makes a big difference. So when planning our virtual meeting, we knew that people couldn't sit in front of a computer screen all day long, or for multi-days for that matter, and that we couldn't ignore that COVID-19 was happening. So we changed our keynote presentation to a COVID-19 keynote speaker. The keynote will be an aspirational talk as opposed to a didactic medical talk. And Leanna Wen, who you've probably all seen on CNN, she'll be our keynote speaker. But then we took the real experts who are working on COVID-19 in safety, therapeutics, and diagnostics. And they are going to be putting on daily COVID talks at our annual meeting. Those were planned last minute after the meeting was canceled. And then surrounding our new COVID talks will be our normal presentation. So our normal plenary abstracts, our normal governance transitions, and then the other meetings that we would put on and other events and workshops that we would put on. Now that still left, you know, 1,300 abstracts, a whole bunch of poster presenters and didactics. So for all of those meetings that overlap where there's like 20 sessions going on at the same time, we put information out to them on how they could record their presentation at home. They would be able to submit it to SAEM, and then we will be pushing that out on our YouTube channels. So the main virtual SAEM 20 sessions, which are a period of May 12th through 15th, most of those will be done in Zoom live. A few of them will be recorded in advance and pushed out through Zoom at a specific time. But then the rest of it will be fed to our Facebook and YouTube channels. The YouTube channel will be the place where it will record the presentation so people can watch at their leisure if they're not going to participate in the live action Q&A. And then everything is hosted online on YouTube. So we're basically building up our YouTube channel. We had recorded, we did Facebook live streaming last year for the first time. That was a big success, but this is the first year that we'll be recording almost everything. Now, our Academy, interest group, and committee meetings, those are the only ones that they'll happen through Zoom, but they will not happen where we're recording them. So almost everything we're doing, with the exception of our parties, are all happening. Our staff schedules look just like a crazy staff schedule, minus the 12,000 steps a day. But we start in the early morning and we end at 10 o'clock at night, just like a normal meeting would. But we really thought that this was important for our members. And honestly, there is a big silver lining to capturing a meeting this way. So there's a lot of emotion that goes into canceling an annual meeting, both on the member side and the staff side. I always try to say this is our Super Bowl. This is what we show up for. And when you cancel that, it's hard to just say goodbye. So this was an opportunity for us to gather all our members together to try to get going. And it was a way where when we were losing a ton of revenue by not having our annual meeting, we could put out content at a very, very, very reduced cost. I mean, we're spending under $15,000 to put on our whole annual meeting with outside IT support. So crazy times, but I think people are coming up with some really amazing solutions.
Yeah, we had a question in the chat that somebody was asking, are you using a vendor to help or only with staff?
Yeah, so we have 15 staff members. We are not a big organization, and everybody is cross-trained to do everything. So on our staff schedule, a lot of the talks that aren't being recorded, staff is just handling them like they would a normal Zoom call. So we've divvied that out. We do have a core team of staff that knows how to link to Facebook and YouTube, make sure things go live on time. People who are working with our behind the scenes content experts who are doing the Q&A, people who are in charge of the speakers. When we first went to hire an IT support leader, we honestly did it, and I said this in my call with them, I need someone to take the blame if this doesn't work, because we've never done this. And so, so we had a couple of vendors that said, absolutely, we'll take the blame for you. But we had a couple of in advance COVID talks prior to this annual meeting that went just wonderfully. And so instead of giving them the blame, we've been able to really highlight them as a big part of our success.
That's great. So one more question, and then I have a question for Jennifer. Are you, well, a couple questions, I guess, real quick is, how are you tracking attendance to issue CME? And Joanna is asking about the revenue model and if it's your reg cost. So is it the same? Is it lower?
Who was that question for?
That was the questions for you.
Okay, sure.
So in terms of tracking CME and costs.
Yeah, we made the decision not to offer CME. So that portion of it is just eliminated from our annual meeting. We also made the decision to open up our annual meeting to the world. So it is absolutely free. It's free for members and non-members alike. And the content that we put on for COVID-19 webinars in advance of this annual meeting, they are being attended around the globe, and we're not a global organization, to be honest. So it's been huge reach for our organization, and we think that's a big piece of the ongoing solution, is that we're just attracting and bringing our content to people that we would not have in the past, and we're going to go with that as the value model for this year.
Great. All right. Thank you. And we'll come back. I know there's going to probably be more questions for you as we move on, but I wanted to ask Jennifer, Jennifer, you've been doing hybrid and virtual meetings at NAHQ for some time now. Can you talk to us a little bit about your past experience and some lessons learned? You're on mute. You're on mute. I'm going to unmute. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, so we've been doing virtual, kind of as virtual with our face-to-face meetings, virtual component since 2017. We started doing that, and at first we thought, oh, it might cannibalize our live attendance, and that never really happened for us. We always had people who were going to come live, and we were always going to have people who were going to come virtual. And I think that's been a very successful model for us. So even, we may be looking at, at virtual only at some point, now, but we may, want to always maybe go back to kind of the face-to-face and the virtual combined. And I would say that for us, the lessons learned is that, it's something we always say at NAHQ, which is it's not one thing, it's everything. Especially if you're gonna, do live streaming and you have that as part of your event, you always want to make sure that from a customer experience standpoint that you're thinking about that virtual audience the same way that you would think the face-to-face. So, we, from the moment we communicate the first time to that particular virtual audience all the way through. We even created some things around, we had virtual facilitators that were a part of our meeting and, made sure that the virtual audience was always integrated into everything we did live, as well as we had our own virtual program guide. So they were very much, we very much not an afterthought, right? We had to make sure that they were integrated in and that they really felt a part of the meeting. So I think that was a huge lesson learned for us. It's just to make sure that, it's not an afterthought and that you think about it from beginning, middle to end throughout your entire experience. I would also say that one of the other things that we did was just access to content. So a lot of people, if you're gonna especially do live streaming, they can't come to the entire event, they can't get away. And so we also made sure that we had access to our content 2 weeks after our meeting so they could, obviously access all that content. And we did that for both our virtual and our live attendees. So that was a really great value add and something we did actually after the first time that we did the virtual meetings. And I would just say also the platform, right? It makes a huge difference. It's got to be easy for people to consume. It's got to be easy for people to, access. And so I think that the technology and the user experience was really, really important for us. And we went through a couple different rounds until we found the one that worked for us, and also worked with our live on services organization and that worked with us while we were on site as well.
So somebody's asking, so what did the virtual facilitator do?
Yeah, so they were in the back end of the system the entire time. We actually had a couple different subject matter experts. Our conference chair was part of that as well. And so they would be basically looking at all the Q&A. They would be, when there was opening it up for Q&A in the live audience, then they would be kind of coming up to the microphone and saying, oh, Susie from Iowa has, something to talk about and she's got a question. And so really kind of bringing that in, into the space and really being their voice for that. They would also, when they saw questions and they weren't able to get to it, much like Kevin's doing, right, or someone else is doing, they're typing and talking to the virtual audience almost constantly throughout the meeting. So that's really important, I think, to again have that connection to the live audience.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because I always tell people it's very difficult to present as well as be monitoring the chat and the questions. And I know Megan and her team did a Zoom/Facebook Live, and they talked to me briefly about all the behind the scenes of capturing those questions. And it took a team, didn't it?
It did. We had 5 content experts behind the scenes answering 126 questions, like technical questions on COVID in a period of like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. So Elizabeth, want to hear a little bit. I know that you guys decided to cancel your meeting, but then now are looking at developing content that you're working with in your LMS and kind of transitioning some of that content to more on demand. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's quite a few reasons that went into doing more of a hybrid model. One, the dates of our annual meeting is actually supposed to be the first part of May. And we made the decision to cancel in early March when CDC guidance came out that small groups could no longer meet and social distancing and shelter in place went into effect and all of those things. So we had a full 2 months before our annual meeting was even going to begin to start to plan for how we deliver alternative ways of all of this important content, plus the 400 to 500 abstract presenters and e-poster presentations and all of those things, late breaking sessions that were supposed to be offered to make sure that all of that important science still gets out into the healthcare environment. I think with the dates of our meeting and the type of physicians that come to our meeting, they're not in the ICU on the front lines, but they are treating the patients that are at highest risk for COVID-19, diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease. And so our physicians are actually very quiet. My email is not going crazy like it normally does with committees because they literally are too busy to meet right now because they're so busy trying to figure out how to have Zoom calls and telehealth medicine and things like that to stay out of the hospitals but still be able to deliver care to their patients and then be able to consult with their ICU colleagues when they have COVID-19 patients with diabetes and they're on ventilators and they need consults constantly. So we didn't think it was practical to try to put on a virtual live meeting. In particular, a lot of our plenary speakers were international and just the time zone changes just did not make it very practical for us to do that. So in lieu of doing that, we did cancel the meeting, but we are still delivering probably about 80% of the sessions and the content that would have happened live at the annual meeting. But the majority of it will be offered on demand in our learning management system. And then some will be live webinars that will happen in the evening hours when most of our physicians' clinics will be closed or they're just on an on-call sort of status. So the last day of our annual meeting was supposed to be May 10th, and on Monday, May 11th, we're launching ACE Masterclass Mondays, where for every Monday for several weeks, we'll be launching a new package of content where currently my staff is very busy capturing dozens of speakers every day on Zoom. We're trying to schedule it when they're in between patients on their schedule. So we're delivering all the content on demand. We're having the abstract program be free to anyone that wants to have access to it. We're doing an e-poster gallery in our LMS that will be available also to all of our registered media and reporters. And we have some pretty important clinical trials that we wanted that science to get out and you know, have the ACE brand attached to it. So we're doing some live webinar series in May to make sure that that still gets delivered and out into the community around endocrinology.
And how are you guys providing those as, how are the fees for those, that program or those programs?
So the abstract program, it's all science, it's all late breaking science, some of it, that will be offered free to anyone, both members and non-members. The on-demand content, because all of our physicians that typically come to our meetings or subscribe to ACE for Education, they are all clinical. So one of the top reasons why they come to ACE for our content is they need CME and MOC credits. So all of it is going to be accredited. That's why we needed it all curated in our learning management system, so we can track all of those credits for both CME and MOC. So there is pricing available for that. You know, I'm not going to release the exact fees, but still working on some of that because we still have almost a couple weeks left. But there is a fee for that because it is CME and MOC accredited and available just like any other course where it can, you can go back to it at any time.
Sure. So Megan, do you think that, will you guys continue to have a virtual component, do you believe, of your conference moving forward, or have you thought that far ahead yet?
Yeah, well, last year, like I said, we did the live streaming for several of our big events. That will absolutely happen if we go back to live meetings. If we can't quite go back to live meetings next spring, if there's a second hump of this COVID, then I think we have a better plan, and we would put in place a fee structure for an actual virtual meeting and allow the CME component to happen. Now we have the big annual meeting, and then we have a sister organization that has another meeting in the fall that gives us 2 big times of year for our members to gather. We are planning now to fill the additional gaps with virtual meetings that will probably happen ongoing. So that would be like a permanent change to our organization to add these virtual meetings in.
That's great. So some other questions. I guess, Jennifer, I keep getting questions, and I've asked it a couple times about, fees. And I'm seeing all over right now, everybody's kind of reacting to the current environment, and every organization is a bit different. But anywhere from, Megan, a free model, because, and there's a reason for that for you guys, all the way through to having the cost for the meeting the same as a live meeting, and everything in between. So people are kind of struggling with the pricing model, as well as what do you budget for a virtual meeting, or to do some of this, a hybrid meeting?
I mean, I think you're going to have a lot of the, well, first of all, you're not going to necessarily, if you're going to have a hybrid meeting, you're going to have additional technology costs. There's going to be, on top of that. I think what we've been able to be successful in our hybrid meeting is really being able to bring incremental revenue to our meeting by being able to do that. So, as much as there's staff time and others associated with it, like I mentioned before, like it's not an afterthought that we plan this meeting, right? It is like there's a lot of time and energy and talent that's put into it. But we try to keep our technology costs to a minimum. I want to know how Megan did it for $15,000. I'm totally going to be calling you up. But yeah, I mean, it's not inexpensive. And then, we price it, we kind of have like a credit hour type of pricing similar to a lot of organizations. And so we not every session is, we have kind of a best of. So it's like 10 hours of credit versus, coming and getting, 18 or 20. So we kind of price it in that way just to kind of keep it aligned with the rest of our products and services portfolio. And yeah, I mean, it really helps us from an incremental standpoint. We have less sponsorship money coming in for our organization. We're less reliant on it, which actually may be a good thing for us future forward. But we have been able to see that and help it, have a better just an ROI in our meeting overall.
Great. So Elizabeth, what do you feel is a kind of, you've always had meeting staff, and what it takes to have, the staffing needs in the education department for live meetings. Do you see a different set of either expectations or skills that are needed from your team doing virtual or meetings or online content?
That's a good question. So I definitely think you need to have staff that are not afraid to try new things because, sometimes there's going to be new technology that you just have to figure out and learn and adapt to very quickly. I mean, in January, we would have never thought we'd be here. And so these decisions are having to be made very quickly, and the workflows and how to make work run very efficiently for both the staff and your members. I think that was really important for us. I think one of the things that we kind of agonized about how to try to operationalizing contacting over 100 speakers in the same week and trying to schedule when we're going to capture them on Zoom webinar. How do we do that without having these flurry of emails, and how do we track it all? So we brought in our technology team, our digital strategy team, and we researched tools. So we implemented a scheduling online tool where doctors were given instructions and they had to sign up and it was integrated with Zoom. And so that's something we implemented within 3 days. You know, ACE probably 2 years ago, I don't think they would have done that.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it makes a difference in, you know, who you recruit for projects, what kind of staff you hire, what kind of staff you need. I think definitely, and I don't think that this is going to go away anytime soon either. And just talking regularly to our members, they don't think that this is something that's going away. I think even in 2021, until there is vaccines and medical therapies available, we're going to be dealing with this for quite a while.
Yeah. So I have a question. Someone asks, can any of you talk about trade shows online?
So I can tell you that we do have an exhibit hall. We're similar to Jennifer, and we're not super reliant on industry for funding, but we do have an exhibit hall and sponsors. When we decided to cancel the annual meeting, our first decision was to cancel the whole annual meeting. So our first decision was it's canceled and everything is refunded. Our second decision was, okay, now we need to create a virtual event, and what does that look like? With our exhibitors, we gave them the option of being fully refunded or being transferred on a new contract to SAEM 21, because you can't just say we're going to move your funds, you have to have contracts for that. And then we also offered new sponsorship opportunities where they could do like industry symposiums and webinars online. And that'll bring in a little bit of income. But to be frankly honest, we took our sales staff that does our advertising and our exhibit sales and our sponsorships, and I've moved them over to membership. And so they're making sure that our membership streams and dollars and new members are coming in. And so we've been able to move the needle and really move that side of our revenue forward while we're going through this COVID issue with sponsorships.
That's great. Another question, is anyone changing evaluation forms expectation of virtual presenters? Are you briefing presenters in any particular way?
Yes, we're actually having pre-practice sessions, especially for anyone that's doing a virtual live webcast. We schedule a rehearsal to make sure that that speaker, and if you're having a panel where there's multiple members on at the same time, allows them to, because they're using their own home setup, their own home computers, to make sure they have time to test everything. You do a full run of show to make sure that they have all the right settings in advance. And we do some prep. If they're going to be on camera, there's even some tips about what they wear, making sure that they're not trying to join with their cell phone. They have a hard line as a backup, but they have their texts ready if we need to text them if something happens in the middle of the production. So we do a full instructions and kind of a full run of show before there's a live virtual event.
Great. So do we have, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Yeah, I would just say even in a hybrid experience, we do similar, we'll have run-throughs with our virtual speakers. Very similarly that you have practice sessions for your, your keynotes and your, everyone that comes on stage. Because we usually do ours in the larger room, we have practice sessions. So even in a hybrid situation, we do a lot of the similar things, getting ready for it.
And then I have one last question before I let you guys go. Are you guys considering doing any sort of fun or networking type of programming within your events?
Yeah, we do have some like cocktail programming where people are bringing drinks to their session and having like cocktail chats, as well as sharing their favorite cocktail recipes. Can't forget alcohol at an annual meeting, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to potentially do some online games. We've done kind of our opening session, opening night kind of exhibit hall. Usually that opening reception usually has some sort of, drinks and food and, but also games. Our folks love games. So we're thinking about, there's lots of online games now, so we're thinking about doing some things where people can join up and do some, you know, games in the evening, have a little cocktails, things like that. So, yeah.
Elizabeth, anything to add? Or
we've tried a few things on Twitter. You know, I don't know if our members are all that fun, so we haven't tried to push the envelope with that yet. We're trying to ease them into the fun piece. But yeah, we just started to brainstorm some of those ideas. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to be meeting face to face for a while, so it's something that we're still kind of talking about.
Yeah, I was, I had a group that I was meeting with about 60 people, and we actually they did Zoom room breakouts, and then you just got thrown into a room with people to talk about a topic. It was kind of interesting. If you don't mind just getting thrown into a Zoom room with folks that you may not want to talk to, I don't know. But well, this was great, ladies. I really, really appreciate it. You guys have had a lot of experience, and it was great that you were able to join us and share your most recent experience and activities as we're all navigating the current situation and what'll probably be going on for a while. So in addition, I just wanted to let everybody on the webinar know that we actually did produce a 12-page guide to help with kind of going through things to think about for your virtual conference. And so Emily